Mesut Ozil, obviously, he can be a bit of an enigma for Arsene Wenger and for Unai Emery, and perhaps in the future for Mikel Arteta. To what degree do you reckon they should pander to what he wants? Pamper him to an extent?
I don't know sure whether you have to pamper him. I just think you've got to make some players feel important, feel like they have a key role to play. And we saw it right at the beginning against Bournemouth, where we highlighted him. And he's now been given the responsibility to organise that front four. And he seems to be absolutely relishing it, whereas before it was, we'll chuck him in and we'll see if he can, see if he sinks or swims in a role that he doesn't really want to play in. And now he's got a purpose, and that front four is looking $1 million, I have to say.
Yeah, there was a number of occasions where, off the ball, Ozil's like directing players around him. Either pushing in, sit back. You can see his hand movements, and he's communicating with people. And I think when he was at his least interested at Arsenal Football Club, you didn't see any of that. He just went through the 90 minutes if he lasted that long. Whereas now he feels that he is very much part of and an important part of the Arsenal team yet again.
He wasn't even making the squads earlier this season, in matchday squads, full stop, not even the bench, let alone finishing a game.
But again, reading into what the two players have just said there in the interview, if you've had the life sucked out of you by the manager and you're not enjoying training and you're not enjoying the football style that you are playing, you can't just turn it on at the weekend. So that interview there for them two was absolutely incredible to give an insight, because I've always asked question marks as to what has been going on behind the scenes there. And they've answered that brilliantly to say how toxic the environment was under Unai Emery.
Who's been the most coddled player that always seems to perform well when he had the arm around the shoulder during your careers? There must be one or two that pop to mind. Don't say yourself.
I was going to say that myself. I needed to be loved as a player.
You're being semi-serious, aren't you? I bet you are.
This sounds like a cry.
Hang on a second. So if somebody keeps criticising you, telling you what you're no good at, telling you what you're doing wrong, okay, what does that do for a person? Well, for me, it's about focusing on the good parts of a player, their better qualities, and just quietly trying to improve maybe the less talented aspects of their game. But you don't highlight them.
But you're focusing on two extremes, either being very coddled or being heavily criticised. What about just the in-between?
Well, I guess there's a mix to some extent, yeah. But if you want to get the best out of me, don't tell me I'm rubbish. Don't tell me I can't do this. Don't tell me I'm not good enough at that.
I think you're fantastic, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See?
You're very good looking man.
Look.
Yeah. No, I think everyone's different. I think it's psychology, isn't it? Every human being is different. I think there was a very good example with Mourinho in Inter Milan with Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic was obviously an ego, but when he'd score, he'd always look over at the bench at Mourinho. Mourinho refused to celebrate. That would make Ibrahimovic even angrier and make him try even harder. And then he said how much he hated him, how much he hated Mourinho for it. But he still joined him at United. So everyone is different. And I have seen players that literally do need an arm around the shoulder.
So what did you need then?
To be left alone. I've said it many times.
Left alone.
Steve Coppell said to me, "Are you a player that I need to scream at, or are you a player that I need to put my arm around?" I said, "You just need to leave me alone." And in the 5 years I was at Reading, we had maybe no more than a dozen conversations outside of good morning and all the rest. That was it. He just left me alone to get on with it.
Bridgie, what about yourself? What kind of character were you?
I needed a kick up the backside. I think I was at the best possible place with Peter Reid at the time. There was a documentary they did called Premier Passions. We were getting beat off Arsenal 2-0, and there's about 30 swear words came out of Peter Reid's mouth directed at myself. I was 17 and a half years of age. That man turned me from a boy into a man and put us into a physical environment and matured. Now, that's not the way it is nowadays, but at the time when I went at Leeds, my work rate was questioned defensively, and I needed some tactical awareness of when to press and when not to press. And Eddie Gray was the man that gave me that rocket up the backside then to say, you've got to work a lot harder for this team when we haven't got the ball. So I got better with constructive criticism, should we say.
Well, I think you've regressed back into a boy, because if you follow us on social media, you'll see that Michael Bridges has been sitting in the studio with a big blanket wrapped around his shoulders because he's finding it a little bit too chilly here.
I live in Australia now, very warm.
This is Malaysia.